You're watching Through the Looking Glass with Dr. Jenny Klein.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jenny Klein, and I've missed you, so I'm back with a new show for us all. It's about our feelings, fears, and fantasies, our pain and our pleasure, our problems and our solutions. It's a time for us to get together, talk things over, think things over, and find out that we are not alone. Perhaps then we can all help each other make this world and our lives just a little bit better. Did you ever get the feeling that someone doesn't like you and you wind up not liking yourself very much either? Let's take a closer look at just that issue. Barbara, how are you?
I'm doing all right. You know, I had to make an appointment to come see you because I had to really have to see what's going on. I'm so upset every day when I go to work, and I had to change schools that I work in. And I have a position now that I like, but the position has to take place at another school than I used to work at. Because of the demographics of the town, it really doesn't matter. I had no control over having to move. And there's a whole new team that I have to work with there, and they don't like me. I mean, they're very exclusive. They're like a little clique.
They've been together.
Well, they have been together for a long time, and the person I'm replacing is someone who retired, and that they had worked with for a long time. And I'll tell you, it's really tough.
You're the
it
new
makes
kid.
me sad just thinking about it.
You're the new kid on the block, and they've lost their old buddy. So
yeah, they're always talking about on the week. I go to a meeting, which I have to attend for the team, and they're talking about how they saw the person over the weekend, all the fun they're having, the parties they went to, and
you're the new kid on the block.
It's true, I am.
And you don't feel very liked.
I feel like I'm totally dismissed. They don't even, it's kind of rude in my world. I don't know, probably I'm just making this up to feel better, but if you're working
What do you mean
with
to
people,
feel better? How do you feel when they treat you like that?
Like, I feel terrible.
You feel,
it's really upsetting.
What do you mean by
to
terrible?
me. I feel like, why can't they invite me?
How do you answer the question that you're asking yourself?
I'm not their friend. I'm not the kind of... They have enough friends. They don't need to be friends with me. They don't need any new friends. It's a very cold environment. You sit in a meeting, and for the first 5 minutes before it gets started, they're talking about everything they did for the weekend.
And they're not interested in you?
They don't even say good morning. And some of them have gone to each other's children's weddings. Some of them have grandchildren that they know.
So you're odd man out?
I guess so. I'm odd woman out.
When did you ever feel like that before in your life, Barbara?
Oh, every time we moved. Every time I moved. My dad's job, we had to move a lot. And every single frickin' time we moved, it was like
the same
clawing your way into a new crowd.
Did you ever explain it to yourself as when you were a kid? Did you ever say, "What's wrong with me? Why aren't people liking me?"
That's what it was. It's like, why wouldn't they accept a new person, except they found the new person not likable?
No, I was asking you, did you ever think there's something wrong with you?
Yeah, that's why they didn't like me. Because there's something wrong with me. Oh, excuse me, I have a terrible cold today.
Oh. Do you need a tissue?
No, I think I'll be okay. I just don't want to shake hands or anything. I don't want to spread any germs as I cough. Sorry.
So you had that feeling when you were changing schools.
Oh my goodness.
And you were always the odd man out, and this reminds you.
It's exactly the same.
And then that's
adults. I would think that adults would be a little bit more welcoming than children.
Well, it depends on the adult. The,
Yes.
the thing is that when we have that experience as a children, we tend to say, "What's wrong with me?"
That's
And
what
you're
it
s-
is.
yeah.
Because when you go from group to group, why wouldn't they be nice to you if you were nice enough to be treated well?
Okay, if you were nice enough,
Right.
if you were good enough, if you were important enough, if you
Right.
were valuable enough.
I'm sure if someone that they knew took the job that they liked, that they would have included that person in all of their social
Well,
activities.
if they liked them, they knew them already.
That's true.
Okay.
I got to give you that.
When you're the new guy on the block,
right,
you bring in those experiences from when you were young, thinking, "What's wrong with me?" into that atmosphere when they all know each other.
right, but
And
why
that
would
brings
they
up
want to get to know me? Right.
well, maybe if you were good enough and perfect enough and nice enough, then they would. That's the same the answer you had as a kid for yourself.
Absolutely.
There's something wrong with me.
Right.
And that feeling when you were a kid comes up at your mind at enormous speed. That same feeling of,
What makes you not want to go to work?
because you're not accepted, but that brings up that belief that there's something wrong with you. It takes...
There is.
Really?
Right?
What? You're convinced of this. You convinced yourself of this as a kid. If I were what? Would they embrace a new person with open arms? Some people are more friendly than others. A lot of people just ignore the new person until they become one of them.
Wow. That's weird to me. It just seems like, it just makes me feel so sad. And I feel like,
For whom?
for me,
And how about when you have a new person in your group, do you go out of your way to be nice to them?
what do you think my job is? I'm like HR coordinator,
Human relations.
welcoming new people, sending out, doing exit interviews.
In other words, making
I'm always
people feel cared
comfortable.
about, responded to.
Right.
And that's the way you wish that kids, when you were young, responded to you when you went to a new school.
Sure. I wish they had welcoming groups.
And now when you're a big adult,
welcome wagons.
with workers, with fellow workers, you
You'd
wish...
think they know they have that skill. But they don't.
Well, you got
Yes.
that skill because you didn't want anybody else to feel the way you felt as a kid.
That
And you
is
wound up
true.
in the job you were in
That's really true.
because you
I-
want to be kind.
Well, I want people to feel included.
Like you
Not on
wanted
the
to be
outside.
included.
Yes.
So you
Yes.
wound up doing for others what you wish somebody would have done for you, included you.
I guess you're right. I never really thought about it that way. Didn't occur to me.
And there was never, when you do that for new people and make them feel included,
Yeah.
you don't treat them with ignoring them. You don't ignore them.
No, I hear that there are concerns. They're new. We have new students coming into this district. We have new parents. We have, I've organized in my other school a welcome wagon type, so when new kids come into district.
So you're trying to correct what was not there for you when you were a kid.
Does that not make sense?
I think it's beautiful.
Okay. Well, I wasn't sure
So
that
how-
you were
so-
agreeing.
No, I think that's beautiful. What you're
good.
doing is what was not done for you because you don't want anyone else to feel what's wrong with me.
I don't want anybody to feel as unhappy as I was, going into a new system and being like,
Right.
hi, or feeling like you didn't know how to get involved, how to make friends even.
And there's
'Cause
nobody
it's so
who reached out for you, so
intimidating.
you're in a job that reaches out and
Yes.
not leaves people alone doubting themselves like you
Right.
were.
Right. I don't like when people play on other people's insecurities, I guess, you know.
Well, you know what?
A lot of professional groups do that. They only want people to join that are in the in crowd.
Well, that's an ego trip.
What do you mean?
Well, the in crowd means the superior people, the worthy people, and everybody else
People
is not
use
worthy.
that word, superior. A superior person. Now, I can understand that someone has perhaps better skills at something.
Yeah, and
I
somebody
don't
else
know.
has different skills that are better at something
But a
else.
superior, I mean, it sounds so arrogant to me.
But you know what? I really admire what you have done. You took the painful feeling something's wrong with me because nobody was friendly, and now you're having it at the new job and all. But you took that and you turned that around so that you would not be like that person, not to be sensitive and compassionate to a new person. And you are. You do that. Why some people don't do that is they avoid putting themselves down and they put other people down by ignoring them.
How's that work? That's a
Well,
new
they
one.
imagine, they imagine if I were a really, really good at this and good at that like the other girls, they would like me. And some people identify with that superior person they should be so that everyone would include them. And some people, like you did, identify with that feeling, I'm not good enough. And they don't want anybody else to ever feel that way, so they go out of their way to be nice.
I mean, I know that some people don't have particular skill sets and they have to learn them to be able to do their job. I'm not saying everybody's equal, nor am I saying everybody has the same amount of innate talent. But to be mean to someone, or to be exclusive, or to gossip,
Well, yeah, it avoids their self-hate for not being some imagined perfection.
I just don't get that. You got to explain
Okay,
that a
let me
little
explain
bit
that.
better to me.
I'll explain it to you. When you're a kid and you're
Yeah.
powerless, you imagine power. Look, Mommy, I can fly. And that you don't have. So you imagine a me that's all powerful when you're not. And then that imaginary me goes down into the rest of your mind. You forget that you did that. And it keeps putting the real you down because you're not perfect enough.
So,
In imagination, you can be
me?
perfect. You put the real human me.
Oh,
We
okay.
imagine a perfect me, an all-encompassing me,
Someone
an
who can do all beautiful
who is
things.
100%.
Okay.
And then they take and that look, and that 100% that you imagine consciously as a
Right.
kid goes down into your unconscious mind, which is 90% of your brain. And that self dumps on you if you don't preserve that. And you preserve it at other people's expense. You ignore them and you only think about yourself and you have no
so
room
you're
for anyone
so
else.
special
Yeah.
only when others are less than?
Well, you're
Putting them
perfect.
down?
Well, yeah, you put them down instead of hating yourself for not being perfect and special.
Wow.
Or you ignore them. Because everyone's irrelevant except you because you're so important.
Wow.
It's an imaginary thing, an image that people create in their mind and they forget they did it. And then instead of it hating them, when it comes down that they're not being treated like God, they project that ignoring other people or just don't bother with them and treat them like they're nothing.
So,
It's a hero-zero game
wow.
in the mind.
But it's so nasty when they're ignoring you.
It's very hurtful.
It's very hurtful. I mean, okay, they saw each other on the weekend, but do you have to talk about it during our meeting? And then after the meeting, and then jump up and run to lunch together and leave somebody else sitting there?
Yeah, because you're busy preserving your image. You remember when you said, well, I thought when I was a kid in school, there's something wrong with me? So maybe you imagine, well, if I'm very nice and I'm very good, they'll be different. You don't have power to make people different. You never did.
Well, how do you address that? I mean, I have to. I have to. I want to keep my job. I'm not ready to retire. It's
You have to
something-
talk to that self that you thought you should be if I was good enough, and talk back to it and say, this isn't about me. This is about who they are.
Wow.
That
About
feeling
that.
of not being good enough when you're a little kid, no
Yeah.
time in the mind. It comes right up in another situation where you're being ignored.
So I can't.
It's triggered
dra-
by
I mean,
that.
There's no one there that I trust enough even to talk about this with.
Well, you trust me now, don't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Why?
Because you don't work there and you're not being rude.
That's right. And because I'm capable of caring about your feelings.
So you're saying that they're not capable, or they don't have room, or
They're busy preserving their own importance. They don't have much room or compassion as you do
Mhm.
for others who are alone or new.
Yeah, it's not. It's not easy when you're a new kid on the block.
No, but you come to inside us. We think, well, if I were this and that, then
I see.
if I were good enough, they would pay attention to me. It's not. That wouldn't change them at all if you were the perfect kid, the perfect new kid on the block. It doesn't change another person's personality. Their personality is based on what they imagine they should be, what they hate themselves for failing, and how they handle that self-hate. Do they cut their wrists? Do they kill themselves? Or do they project that hate to others by picking on a kid, or, less offensive, just ignoring them? Because they're
They're
the
not
only
important.
person that's important, and they go and chat with their friends.
Wow.
And they forget there's another human being there.
So you can't really. You're saying to me,
Can't change
I
them.
can't change them.
No.
I can only work with myself.
In arguing with the feelings that come back to you since kindergarten or first grade.
Wow.
That I'm not good enough. Their
amazing.
doing that triggers what you felt as a kid, and the feelings come back. But then you look at their behavior and they're mad at them for that. And I can understand that because they're not being very nice.
Well, I don't think they're being professional. But they don't need. They're not interested in what I think. Believe me, it's been going on for a long time.
And when you meet a person like yourself that'll see that you're sitting alone, and you'll go over to that person, and they'll come over to you, then you know you have someone who's capable of caring. But when you think, I'm not good enough to be cared about,
You're saying that's not
you're
correct.
putting yourself down. No.
I'm putting myself
Yes,
down.
yes. And what you have to do is talk
I
back.
think they're putting me down.
Well, they are ignoring you, and that's
That's a
rude
fact.
and hurtful and not very nice.
Okay.
However, the part of you that's taking it really with a great deal of pain, Barbara, is that self that you thought you should be good enough to get their attention when you were a kid in little grades.
I see.
And that if I were good enough, they would pay attention to me. So what you
Well,
have to do is talk back to that
Yeah.
guy and say, I am good enough. They just are not very friendly people.
It's interesting. I came in today thinking that you were going to tell me how to.
Ingratiate yourself.
Yes. I wasn't doing a good enough job.
How to be good enough.
Yes.
The way you thought as a little kid.
Yeah.
Because that was your concern. I'm not good enough. They're ignoring me. Why are they doing that? Of course,
And
the
I've
answer
never
was
had
when
this
you're a kid.
problem at my other jobs 'cause
Uh-huh.
I was the first one there.
Right,
So
and you
saying
were there to
I
greet
built
people.
the team.
Well, God bless you. You didn't turn into one of those people that did to others what was done to you. You turned into a person who has compassion for others. Those people
Wow.
do not have that quality because you
Wow.
grew up saying, I'll never be like that to someone. But it wasn't your lack of being good enough that caused their personality to behave that way as children or as adult professionals.
I just hate that word superior. It just really bothers me.
Well, superior is an investment in my importance that gets that I pretend that I'm superior by putting other people as inferior. And that's unfortunate. I mean, we have one planet that we know there's life on. It's Earth. And it bothers me that because we're lucky enough to be near the sun and we all can live, as long as we can live, because of that, it doesn't matter. We're not grateful enough that we have life, right? We wind up killing each other, having wars, fighting with guns, and we're the only planet we know of with people on it. And that's because we don't understand ourselves sufficiently. And I'm glad you came, because you're going to talk to that part of you that said, maybe you're not good enough, that's why they're not paying attention when you're a kid, and say, hey, that's an imaginary wish that I could change other people if I were good enough. And that's an imaginary me, and I am good enough as I am as a human being. And it wasn't my doing or my lack that made them ignore me as a kid.
Well, that's a real shift for me.
Well, that is a shift. It's a shift from blaming yourself on underneath continually, no matter which group you're in,
Right.
at what age you are,
Right.
and stop blaming yourself, because you are good enough. And other people's behaviors because of their stuff.
Wow. I'm like just flabbergasted at that concept.
Well, there's no time in the mind. Your mind this behavior towards you will trigger your young years that fast, 400 million synapses a second. And you're not even aware of that. And all the feelings would come up. Really feeling bad again. Why? Because
And it's
what
so
you told
shocking
yourself.
to me that no one else in this entire group has identified any welcoming behaviors,
Yeah, that's pretty sad.
right? And I still have to work there.
There is one person that has.
I guess it's me, you're telling me.
Yes.
Ugh.
Well, that's right. It's you, Barbara.
How long do these sessions go?
Huh?
How much more time do we have?
Oh, we have a few minutes more.
Okay. I was just
Yeah.
curious.
But
Seems like I've been here a while. I guess it's because it's such a new concept.
Well, it's
I'm having
new-
trouble
new.
wrapping my head around
when you
it.
go to a new place, it seems like the day is very long because you're
Very.
observing new things.
Very.
And that's why the
Work's gotten
time-
so long.
Seems as much longer. The sessions are usually an hour.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to go back to work today, which I'm dreading.
Why? Because you'll find out they'll ignore you and it'll trigger that you're not good enough. Think that.
We have 3
Write it on
meetings
your
this
hand
afternoon.
somewhere. This wasn't true then, and it's not true now. This is not easy. You
No,
will get
it's
this,
not.
you'll forget it, but you'll remember it again, and every time you'll feel the feelings will come back, and then you have to say to yourself, hey,
See, there's nothing I can do to protect myself from feeling those feelings, is what I'm hearing
you can say,
say.
hey, shut up. That wasn't true. That was just your imagination.
Then I have to realize that it's coming from me. It
It's-
seems like it's coming from them.
Their behavior is
Because their
coming.
behavior is what they're
Right.
doing.
But your
My
feeling
response
is
to
coming
it,
from
or
your
my
history.
feelings are coming
Yes.
from my history. Wow, that's deep.
Yeah, but that's a great idea. You can battle yourself. You can dialogue with yourself and say, hey, that's not true. If I'm feeling that feeling again, yep, here's the feeling. I am good enough. Just
Now, if
answer.
I explain this to them, Will they get it?
Probably not.
So that would be a waste of my time.
It depends on the person. If you find the person kind of dragging their feet and feeling unwelcome, yeah, you could explain it to them. They might
Excuse me.
appreciate
So
it.
basically, I'm going to have to go to meetings, do my work. They're going to keep talking about their
And take
weekends
this
and their friends,
and
you're
try to
telling me
apply this.
Try to apply the
You'll
concept,
feel it
that's who
again and
they
again.
are.
You'll feel bad again and again and again. However, every time you feel bad, you'll tap your watch twice
Right.
and say, where is this feeling coming from? It's coming from where? You tell
Are
me.
you saying that I'm being triggered by them, but it's exaggerated
Right.
because of my history?
You practice that.
Okay.
We'll talk next week, okay?
Okay, really good.
Wonderful talking to you. And I'm so
Thanks.
glad you're there giving kindness to others. Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you.
And I was just, that was a wonderful role play, and I wanted to thank Susan Friedman. You do that so well because you're a psychotherapist, right?
I think I do it so well because I've learned how to do it.
Yes, and you're a psychotherapist in Bridgewater.
That's so true. And other
Okay.
people can learn to do it.
Right, you bet.
Even if they're not a psychotherapist.
That's
right?
absolutely regular people. Okay, but thank you very much for
You're
doing
so
a wonderful
welcome, Dr.
show.
Klein.
Okay, I
Always
want to
fun.
thank you also. Thanks a lot. And it's not Barbara, it's Susan Friedman.
That's right.
Thank you. And I want to thank you very much for watching and saying hello when I'm bopping around town, and for your letters and your emails. And I wanted to let you know that Kaz Beelan of Premier Media, who does my shows for many, many years, he has put it on YouTube, and you can see, and if you know someone in another country, he just told me this morning that it plays in their language automatically. I didn't even know that. So if you know anybody in Europe, just tell them, go to YouTube and look at, you can see it on YouTube too, Dr. Jenny Klein, and you can see those shows, and it may be helpful to you. And in the meantime, I want you to take really good care of yourself, be good to yourself, and just keep looking through the looking glass. Bye-bye.
Dr. Jenny Klein would love to hear from you. Email her, jennyklein@gmail.com, or give her a call at 908-722-2933. If you'd like to see more, feel free, just go to drjennyklein.com.